দেখুন তো এটা কি এটা হবে কিনা দেখুন। অনেকে আছে দেখুন দেখুন।
Yeah. We need to find a place to sit. Don't allow because if you're recording the meeting. Allow. While using the app. Or only this time, however you want to. Okay, my neighbor. We need to go to the lift. Yes, it gets on. DNA का register. How do I switch it off?
Please mute yourself. Welcome everyone. Please mute yourself. As it's in the meeting mode, we'll request everyone to please mute yourself.
Hello, hello, ma'am. Hello, Rima, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Shall we start then the session?
Let us wait for 2 minutes more. Let few more participants join, because I think how many registration we got? We just had just 38 participants now.
Yes.
Just wait for 2 more minutes, and meanwhile just share the poster, so that people
I
understand.
can't charge you.
Yeah, sure. Hello and a warm greetings to everyone. Welcome to all today's session that is Greening the Future. And we are all celebrating the Environmental Week. As we all know that yesterday was Environment Day. And the theme of the World Environment Day of this year is land restoration, desalination, and resilience. So, today's event or today's session is organized by Center for Environment Education and Envo Center Foundation. Center for Environment Education is a national institute, and it is established in 1984 as a center of excellence in environmental education, and it is supported by Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change, and Government of India. And we are very happy to announce that in this year, our CE is completed 40 years. And our partner organization, Envo Center Foundation, is established in 2019 as a Section 8 company under Companies Act 2013. So, before entering the session, I would like to invite on board Ms. Rima Banerjee, the Program Director of CE Eastern Region Cell, to convey us the significance and importance of our World Environment Day celebration and the expert introduction. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Nupur. And thank you, all of you. I think English is, we are just, resorted to this particular topic or language in this, for this workshop or a webinar, being that we have some of participants also across the country, pan India, participants. আমরা বাংলাতেও বলতে পারি, আমরা বাংলাতেও কথা বলবো, কিন্তু I think in case anyone has any problem in understanding, they can always put it in chat and we would be able to answer the queries. You know that this particular series of workshop that we are conducting today, it is under World Environment Day series. We are celebrating some of the activities under World Environment Day. Yesterday, we had a particular workshop on urban greening for students, government school students. Almost 100 students participated in that. And today we have a workshop or a webinar, I must say, because most of us are either in some, the school students are there who are having vacations going on, and we nowadays after COVID feel a bit comfortable to be at our own space and have some of these expertise talk from comfort of our homes and offices or colleges. And this particular workshop is on the theme which is aligning with the world environment. Now, in a very particular topic, what is World Environment Day? It is nothing. It's basically, jemni amra birthday manai nijede. It is kind of a something special day. It's nothing like we are not living every day. As we are living every day, amra shob dini kichu na kichu, we keep celebrating every day something or the other. We celebrate. We are happy every day. Same day, we are happy. Our environment is also happy every day. We do some or the other thing for our environment every day, and we should do. But as we also become happy when we celebrate our birthday once in a year, so we also want to make our environment a bit happy or special by celebrating a kind of a world environment. United Nations Environmental Program, or a kind of a international body on environment, had designated a specific day so that across the world we do some specific activities dedicated to environment on a special day. So that day is 5th of June. That pan world or across the world, we do some activities, some campaign on environment. So the World Environment Day is celebrated on 5th June. Every year, United Nations Environmental Program or UNEP give a dedicated theme for so that there is a dedicated action on that theme across the world. So this year, the theme is again, it's on land restoration, on desertification, and drought resilience. Now, saying so in this theme, a theme ta basically talks about on how exactly we restore the land. Now, we all, generally, most of us, like we have 47 participants here, I think most of us stays in urban atmosphere, in urban scenario, and we all agree, like, except few of us, many of us stay in place where we have very limited space for gardening. We do stay in apartments, we do stay in places where we really don't have like a rural place, like an agricultural place যেখানে আমরা অনেক দূর পর্যন্ত we can have lot of bagan and all bagan badi moton, we cannot have that. So we have very less space where exactly we would also like to do some kind of gardening. We would also like to contribute something to climate change mitigation, to have something to have a kind of some kind of greening, so that that can lead to some kind of capturing of carbon dioxide. So aligning with this theme of World Environment Day, and also something which we can help enthusiastic like us to have in urban atmosphere or urban landscape, how we can go for such kind of greening, we thought of having a session, a small session, kind of a 45 minutes, 40 minutes session, followed by question answers with a practitioner. I generally don't like the word expert or expertise. I myself also don't call myself expert at all. It's always better to call a practitioner, because a practitioner, I think if I pronounce her name properly, she is Jozang Zeli Chaka Chakshu. I think you will we all have a pronunciation problem because we all come from different region. So Ms. Jozang Zli, she is basically a founder of Jozang Agro Private Limited. She is a certified commercial hydroponic technician as well as a software engineer. So I think what I could make out, she is very passionate person who over avid gardener also. And hydroponic, as it's very very different. It's a kind of a soil-less agriculture. So people like us who are in an urban landscape, we were really devoid of soil. সবসময় অনেক জায়গায় তো আমাদের মতন কলকাতায় একদম যেখানে আমরা বাস করি, আমাদের তো অ্যাপার্টমেন্টের জন্য আমাদের নার্সারি দিয়ে সয়েল কিনতে হয়. We have to buy soil for our garden or for our balcony gardens. So a kind of system of soil-less agriculture is basically what hydroponic or aquaponic talks about. And I think there would be something else what Ms. Josangzali will talk about, and we are very enthusiastic to listen to her. So I, instead of wasting any more time, I really invite Josangzali to share her, thoughts and her passion with all of us. So Josangzali, welcome. And we really, welcome to this particular platform. And we look forward to your talk, Josangzali.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible for everyone?
Yes, you are.
Okay, let me just adjust my camera. Okay, all right. So yes, shall I start my session, ma'am?
Yes, you should. You should. Please, please,
Okay.
please go ahead.
All right. A very good afternoon to everyone. Okay, so we'll start with my name. My name is Zosang Zelitsatswak. However, that may be a mouthful for some other people. So I just go by my short name. So everyone calls me Jojo. So that would be much easier for everyone to remember also. And before we start, I just want to say thank you and express my gratitude to CEE for inviting me to speak on this World Environment Day celebration. I feel honored also. This is something that sits very close to my heart. So with that, we will get into the presentation. So I will share my screen from here because the file is slightly big and it's a bit difficult to share. So I think you can see my screen. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I was told that the audience would be a mix of students and NGO partners, college students, university students. So I'm really excited because our line of work has a lot to do with that demographic of the population. So the topic that we have chosen for today's session is Greening the Future, where we will talk about hydroponics, natural farming, gardening for sustainable living, and so on and so forth. Okay. And before we get into that, I just want to give a quick introduction about our company and what we do. We started the company in 2017. At the time, I was a government employee. I was a government servant. I left my job and I went full-time entrepreneurship. So our focus is mainly in making technology accessible to everyone, especially in the field of agriculture, because we felt that farmers were not getting the help they need technologically. So that is one of the main focus that we have. And the tools that we use are hydroponics, urban farming, natural farming, organic farming, greenhouse technology, entrepreneurship. And recently we have started, getting into food processing and even business development as well. And we are registered training partners of Agriculture Skill Council of India. And we do lots of capacity building and training programs, and we have trained more than 1,000 people. And a lot of them are students, a lot of them are farmers, a lot of them are self-help group members, so on and so forth. And currently we're working on a greenhouse technology that we are building for hilly regions. And that is under the Department of Biotechnology, which is funded by the government of India. And we are also working on creating hydroponic fodder for livestock, which is under the United Nations. So that is a quick introduction about ourselves. All right, so since we're going to talk about environment and greening the future and this and that, I would love everyone to focus on the word environment for today, because we're celebrating World Environment Day. And if I were to ask myself, what is the meaning of environment? You can ask yourself the question, but I would love to simplify everything because the world is so big and there are so many things. And sometimes I feel that we have to simplify things for everyone to understand. So the way I would like to interpret environment is everything that is around us is an environment. That is the basic definition that I would go with. And by greening the future, this can be very subjective. However, when we say greening the future, I would like to put the narrative in a way that greening would mean something like replenishing, refreshing the future for everyone. And so we're going to talk a lot about what are the tools that we can use, what are the ways that we can do, and how that can impact food security, creating green spaces, and climate mitigation as well. So I just had a quick weather report. This is a screenshot that I took yesterday while I was making this presentation. This is a weather report for Kolkata. I know that it can be quite hot over there. Over here, we're having some rain and we have cool weather. I'm not boasting anything. I'm just giving a weather report, okay? So one of the biggest issue that we have today is, again, yes, food security, green spaces. We don't have a lot of green spaces in the urban sector, and the climate it feels like it's getting hotter and hotter. So we are going to address those issues by using the tools that we can have today. All right, so this is one saying that I really like from a physicist, a world-renowned physicist. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He says, if every day were Earth Day, we wouldn't be in this mess, that we wouldn't be in the mess that we are in today. So let's have this thought for today. And if today is World Environment Day, can it not be tomorrow, day after tomorrow as well? If we have that mindset, then our actions will be very different. Okay, so the first topic that we will go into is hydroponics. When I first learned about hydroponics, I thought it was some fancy hi-fi technology stuff. But again, it can be really, really simplified, because this is something that was done way back ages and centuries ago. And it simply means, like, hydro means water, we all know that, and ponic means to make it work. So it's just making water work for us, okay? So we are going to use all this technology to make a greener future, to manage our resources. When we say resources, it directly means the land that we have, the soil that we have, air, trees or plants, the vegetation, and light. So we have to make use of all of these things and make sure that we make everything greener, more refreshing, replenishing in the future. Because once we exhaust these resources, there's nothing to live for. So it is up to us today to make the difference. So we're going to double down on this one. And I just want to quickly get out of this slideshow, and I will quickly show you. I think my screen is still open.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's still open, right? Okay, so hydroponics basically means like cultivation of plants using water. So this is something that we can use directly in the urban areas, because like Madam have said, getting soil into our balconies and our rooftops or inside the house may be somewhat of a challenge for other people. It may be slightly different for other people also. For some people, getting soil may be really, really easy. However, this is one alternative that we can use. Instead of soil, we can use other medium, other growing mediums. We will explain it later, okay? So, like I said, it was started way back centuries ago in 600 BC. We have heard of the hanging gardens of Babylon and the floating gardens of China. So this is where hydroponics actually started, okay? It is not something fancy and something new. And then if we jump, in 1940, there is this scientist called Dr. William Frederick Garrick, and he is known as the father of hydroponics. And he experimented on tomatoes. And I just want to ask a quick question to everyone, like, how tall can a tomato plant grows? Can I see or hear from someone? Just to make this a little bit interactive. How tall can it go?
About 3 feet.
Okay, so since we don't have a lot of time, I'll just make it short. So this doctor, Dr. William, he experimented and he found out that tomato plants using hydroponics can grow beyond 30 feet, 30. So imagine you have only one tomato plant and it grows 30 feet. You will harvest so much out of that one single plant. So the reason why I mentioned that is because you don't need a huge garden to grow your own food, to make a green space for you, to make something beautiful for you. You don't need a whole lot of space. Suppose you have your own building and you segregate like maybe a small area, a very, very small area, maybe the size of a table, a small study table. Imagine that is your entire garden, okay? You can work with that as well. I will show you how to do it, okay? So imagine you're growing a tomato using hydroponic system and your plant keeps growing and growing and growing and it reaches the top of your building and you harvest so much tomatoes out of it. That is the beauty and the power of hydroponics. When we say gardening and farming, we usually picture some guy working with cows and bulls and oxes. They're plowing the land. That is what we have in our we have as a picture in our minds. But things can be really different. And using technology, once again, we have come to this much. I'll just show you real quick. So this is what we have in 2024. This is a hydroponic growing laboratory somewhere in Japan, okay? They use all these lights to grow the plants. They don't use soil anymore. They use only water. And this is something that we can do here in our country as well. As for myself and my team, we're currently building a smart greenhouse in one of our research centers. I cannot show you the picture yet because it's under patent registration, so I cannot share the pictures yet. Hopefully, when everything is done, we will be able to share those pictures in the future. So I just want you to focus on this one for a while. This is what we can do. We can grow plants even without sunlight. You may say like, oh, I don't have any sunlight, I don't have any space, but there is a way if you are willing to do the necessary, okay? So I just want to show you some of the top hydroponic farms across the globe. This is Aero Farms in New Jersey, I think. If you can just look at this picture, this is one full man, okay? This is a man, a scientist or a technician working there. And there are so many layers growing over here. They are growing plants. This building was once an old factory and they refurbished everything. And look at these people walking over here also. So this is one place, and this is Bowery. So everything is done with technology. See, everything is grown inside a building also. Their technology is like whatever tub they use over here, this container, everything moves. See, you can see the rollers if you really, really zoom on that. Sorry. If you really, really zoom in, you can see those rollers. So all these big, big trays, they can slide and move everywhere so that all of them get enough sunlight, lights and resources. And I forgot the name of this place, but this particular growing area is vertical. Everything is growing vertical, and they're growing so many different kinds of plants. And this particular company is owned by a guy named Kimball Musk. He's the younger brother of Elon Musk. So they're working on it. And this particular space is very fascinating because this was an old World War II bunker, which is 100 feet below the surface of the earth. So they're able to grow plants in that way. And some of you may think, oh, we cannot do that. We can do this if we work together. It's definitely possible. And this is Iron Box. I'm not sure which country it is, but you can Google it. They use robots to transplant all their crops. Very, very fascinating, very futuristic, and very awesome. And this is InFarm. This is from France, I think. They grow the plants inside the supermarket. If you want to buy those plants, you can go and cut it and then buy it. That's their business model. And this is AgriCool. They grow only strawberries, and they use all these containers, shipment containers, and they convert these things into hydroponic chambers. And the reason why they say AgriCool is that whatever air comes out of this, it really, really cools down the entire environment where they put these containers. This is the inside of their plantation. Everything is growing vertically. And okay, I'm gonna stop over here and I'm going to return to the other one. Okay, we'll go back here. All right. So if anyone is interested to work on hydroponics, if you want to experiment it, some of you may be very familiar with it, some of you may not. So in case you want to try it out, okay, we can do a small exercise that you can do even today also. All right. So here we have a bunch of options. You can take any container, okay? It can be like this a plastic cup. You can use this kind of PVC pipes. You reuse all these glass jars, like pickle jars. You can use this kind of clay pots. You can use fabric pot like this or cane bags like this also. Anything that can be used as a container, okay? You can even use polythene bags also, okay? You can try it. And then you take some coco peat. You might be familiar with this. You might not be familiar with this, but you can try it out, all right? So coco peat, you can buy it in small pieces also from Amazon. It can be less than 100 rupees also if you want to try it really small. So you take a chunk out of it. You can grab a chunk of this and soak it in water for about an hour. Okay, and after that, you're gonna squeeze out all the excess water. You're going to remove the water. You're going to get out. You're going to scoop out that coco peat, and then you're gonna mix it with perlite, and it's going to look somewhat like this. Okay. So you may ask, how much of perlite should I use? How much of coco peat should I use? That is entirely up to you. Some expert, some guy may come along and say you have to mix this much and this much. Well, you just use your eyes. That's what I usually go by. I've been doing this for years and years. And the reason why we use coco peat is that this is not soil, okay? So that means there won't be any infection. It's very clean also. And this white substance is called perlite. You can mix it. I usually mix, like if I take 5 handful of this coco peat, this brown substance, I usually add maybe 1 or 2 handful of this white perlite, okay? Perlite is going to help in aeration. Aeration means like it moves the air inside the ground. That's what it does, okay? So when you make a good mixture out of it, you take your mixture and you take whatever container you're using, whatever container you have already inside your home, and you're going to put that in that pot. For example, for this particular example, there's a picture of a pot and they're putting the entire mixture down here and then they just put the seeds over. Don't put the seed really, really deep, okay? The maximum you should go would be maybe a ½ inch or 1 inch. Don't go deeper than that. So once you add your seeds, you make sure you cover it with very lightly with that coco peat, okay? Don't use soil, don't use sand, okay? Because we're talking about hydroponics. It should not have anything to do with soil, okay? So once you do this, you make sure you cover your pot. This is a very unusual practice that we do because most of the people here in India, they don't cover their nurseries. I usually do it because I see the benefit of it. When you shut out light from your nursery for about 4 days, the growth is so much faster. Okay, if you want your plants to go to germinate faster, then you cover your nursery. Okay, so on the 5th day, you open it. But during this time, while it is still dark, you just spray some water on it. So you can use this to grow your plants if you don't have soil. This is an alternative. We're not saying this is going to replace soil. We're not saying that. We're just saying that for people who have no access to soil or who want to try hydroponics, this is hydroponics. And the pictures that I've that I have shared with you, those are the really, really high-tech ones, but we cannot go in depth in that high-tech ones. I will share you the links where you can check it out, okay? So once you put the seeds there, it will start germinating, and don't add too much water, okay? Just spray and make it moist. That is enough. That is enough. All right. So you might think, do I have to add fertilizers, this and that? Well, maybe, but if you're going to use it, then the best fertilizer, which is harmless for the environment, in my experience, would be NPK. I will type that out at later, okay? It's NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium mixture. And that too, like they have different combinations. So you can use NPK 19 or 20, whichever you use, it's fine. Okay. Then all the instructions will be on the label. You go by the instructions. It is water soluble. So when you mix it with water, it became the entire fertilizer. You just add it in your spray bottle. That is as easy as it gets. And you can finish all of this in one day, and the growing session will start. It will take about maybe 5 to 7 days to germinate, and you will see the fruit of your labor. Okay. All right. So we'll go to the next. So why are we doing hydroponics, and why is it good for the future? So number one, it saves space. Like I said, you don't need a whole lot of space to try out hydroponics. And I've seen people who utilized maximum space in their area for growing. Like you can go vertical. Suppose your entire space is about, let's say, 100 square feet. That is all you have. And imagine you work on a farm or somewhere outside. 100 square feet is all you have. But with hydroponics, we can go for vertical farming. Vertical is like going upwards, right? So when we do that, that means we are maximizing our space. Instead of having only one layer of 100 feet, 100 square feet, we are adding so much layer to it. If you have like 5 layers, that means you have 500 square feet. You can grow so much in that. So you can grow loads and loads of food, flowers, and all kinds of things in a small space. All right. So you might wonder what kind of things you can grow. I will show it to you if time permits. Okay. You can grow even potatoes. You can grow tomatoes. You can grow all kinds of vegetables. My team and I, we experimented on a tree. So we grew a mango tree using hydroponics. It has gone beyond 7 feet tall, but that is all that it is for now. All right. So again, what are the benefits of hydroponics? There are no pests. When we say no pest, it's not, see, that can be very subjective also. Since there is no space to write like a huge topic over here, I just wrote no pest. But when we do hydroponics, since we don't use soil, there is no attack of pest and other virus and fungi and this and that. We remove most of them so that there is minimal pest attack. The only pest attack would be maybe some ladybug or something that you can catch with your own hands. Okay. So that means you don't have to use pesticides, which makes it much more safer. And it saves water. There are different types of hydroponic systems. There are about maybe 6 or 7 types. And the way it saves water is all different again. You can save about 70 to 90% less water. Okay. So it saves water. That means you reduce your water consumption for growing your own food. And one of the best feature of using hydroponic system is it is non-seasonal, which means you can grow your food year-round. Mostly when you work in the open fields, you have to work with the weather. And if the weather is not warm enough, you cannot grow your pumpkins, you cannot grow your chilies, you cannot grow your cucumbers if it is really cold, okay? But if it is really hot and you're trying to grow your cruciferous like cabbage, broccolis, all those things, it doesn't grow in hot weather. So again, these hydroponics, we usually use a very closed environment. So that is why we can say it is non-seasonal. And you can pretty much grow anything if you want, if you wish to use hydroponics. Okay, we're coming to the next topic. I think we are still on time. So another thing is natural farming and urban gardening. I'm going to speak on these two things together. So yeah, it's written here, gardening is cheaper than therapy and you get your tomatoes, right? So the ultimate goal of farming, there's a saying that I got off the internet. The ultimate goal of farming is not the growing of crops, but the cultivation and perfection of human beings. This is so true because once you start growing your own food and making everything green around you, then the focus is becoming more and more about the people. The people is always the center of attention. It is always the center of the problem solving also, because we don't usually solve problems for plants or animals. We solve problems for human beings, for us. So if we are going to get into natural farming, we have to work with nature. It is seasonal sowing and harvest. It can be it is synonymous with organic farming too, because natural means without chemicals, without pesticides and all of that, right? So, but organic farming is slightly different, I would say. When in our world, when we say organic farming, we have to go for organic certification, this and that. There is so much of technicality involved, but in its basic structure, natural farming and organic farming is exactly the same. Somebody might come to you and say otherwise, but it's not. It's exactly the same, but we people make everything so complicated that we make organic farming somewhat like a rocket science. But it is so simple that anyone can take this up. If you have space and if you have the means to work with it, you can try it also. Like you see in the picture over here, it can be very messy also. It can be unorganized, but natural farming, it will heal you. That's a guarantee, okay? Now, these are some of your best friends when you do natural farming. You are very familiar with this one of our best friends. Another best friend is this, because we use their manure, okay? Cow manure, and we use goats for grazing on grasses. Instead of us having to do the cutting of weeds and everything, we use goats. They chew on those plants and they, turn everything into mulch. So very, very helpful. One of our other best friend is some of this chicken, sheep, and all. So we use all their manure and we make organic fertilizer out of these best friends, okay? So I'm not sure if your definition of best friend and my definition of best friend is the same. All right, so this is another beautiful friend, because Albert Einstein, the famous physicist, says that humans will not last more than 5 odd years if there are no bees in the entire earth, in the entire globe. So that is their importance. They do all the pollination. How do you get fruits and flowers in the natural form? Because of things like the bees, the honeybees, okay? So they are very, very important and we have to protect them. All right, so we're coming to one of the last chapters, the urban gardening. Like I said, gardening is cheaper than therapy and you get your tomatoes. So there are two benefits out of gardening. So why do we do this gardening? Why do we do urban gardening? Because there is so much of urbanization in this country. There are more people in the urban sector than in the rural sector. And we usually don't grow food in the urban areas. We grow food in the rural areas. And the food gets transported to the cities, to the big towns like that. And there is so much of nutrient loss. For instance, most of the fruits, especially the fruits, okay, the seasonal fruits that you get in metro cities, those were produced 6 to 8 months before. They get stored in some container, in some cold storages by using some chemicals maybe. They get stored there, and when they are shipped across the country, you get it. And by the time you consume all these fruits that come all the way from maybe Kashmir or from Kerala or from the northeast side also, there is so much of nutrient loss. You get to have about maybe 40% of the nutrient. 60% of the nutrient is lost in transportation, in storage, in the distance between you and the harvest. So you lost that much. And if we take up urban gardening, okay, we will cut down those nutrient loss. Imagine you have a balcony full of strawberries. Imagine the excitement you will get when you come home. Your strawberries are waiting for you. Your tomatoes are waiting for you. Your chilies are waiting for you. Your flowers are waiting for you. That is what we can do in urban gardening. And it cleans the environment. This is a no-brainer thing. I don't even have to talk too much about it. Because we know plants, they give us oxygen, they purifies the air. We need them all around us, and they reduce heat. So I saw one video on Instagram a couple of days back. So there's this guy, he's from Delhi, and he was standing outside in the sun, and he had one digital thermometer with him, and it was reading 50 degrees Celsius. And when he went under a tree, and when he was sitting there for about 5 minutes, the temperature decreased by 5 degrees. So imagine you have all the greenery around you. Imagine how much it would cool down your environment. And in places where there is very, very less humidity, it's super dry. So all these plants, all these flowers, all these gardens, they can create the humidity for you, make the air move, and create wind also naturally. Was it a question? Okay. All right. So the last point is urban gardening adds natural beauty. Why do we go to beautiful resorts and hotels and all of these tour destinations? Because most of them have beauty. They offer us luxury, and natural beauty is one of the most luxurious thing that anyone can go for. So why do we go to Europe and see all these beautiful mountains and everything? Because it's green, it is clean, and that is the new luxury, okay? So if you take up urban gardening, that is the kind of space you can create for yourself, all right? So rooftop gardening and balcony gardening are great ways to start. There are some of us who might not be able to take up rooftop gardening, but can work with balcony. You might think your balcony is too small, but I will show you one YouTube video where a lady, she has a very, very small space. Her entire space is about 86 square meters, and she used that to grow most of her food, okay? And one of the things that I wanted to mention is I am very lucky to have a small garden of my own at home, which I have been, using for the past 30 plus years, right? So we have this small garden. It's about the size of a badminton court. That might be really, really big for some people. That might be so small for other people also. But either way, I'm very fortunate. I'm very grateful also. So we have that space that is about maybe 20 feet in width and maybe 50 feet in length. That's my entire garden, okay? And for about a couple of weeks, we have not bought any food from outside. When I say food, I don't mean meat. I don't mean your cooking oil and salt and this and that. Those are something else. But when I say food, I mean the crops that we can grow, right? I don't go to the market and buy beans anymore, chilies, all those leafy vegetables. I'm very, very fortunate. And if you have space like that, you can start with that one, all right? And there may be some people who have space and soil, and you say your soil is not good for gardening. There are ways to work with it, okay? There is no such thing as bad soil, because I've learned that you can always replenish your soil also. If you want to, get in depth with that, then you can contact me directly and we can, discuss that later. So these are some of the pictures that I wanted to share with you. So this is one rooftop garden that they did in somewhere in Europe. If you just look at it, there is nothing to hate in this picture. Everything is so cute and so beautiful, so green, so lush, because they made a garden out of their small space. Imagine you have a very stressful week and you happen to create a small green space for yourself or for your family. Imagine you sit over here on this bench and you just have your fruit juice or your coffee or your tea and just relax there. It is going to be so relaxing. And some other rooftop gardens can be as messy as this. This is very practical because it is not always sunshine and butterflies. So it can be messy like this, but it still works, okay? So this is another balcony gardening that can be done. See, they have a very small spot, but it can be done, all right? So they are growing their salad greens over here. And before I move to the next slide, I just want to mention that there's a famous and beautiful saying. It says the no, the happiest people in the world are two people. One is a painter and another one is a gardener or a farmer, someone who grows their food. So once you see your plants coming up from the soil or from the ground or from your pots and your pans or whatever, you are going to be filled with a feeling that no one will ever be able to give it to you and no one can take it away from you as well. And also that is good for your environment, okay? So this is the rooftop of Chicago City Hall. So they are greening all their rooftops. Imagine the entire city of Kolkata or any other city that you can imagine, okay? Just visualize, close your eyes and visualize. Imagine all our tall buildings have this kind of green spaces on the roof. I am 100% sure that it will somehow mitigate this extreme heat that we're currently facing. And this is another example somewhere in Denmark. See, you don't have to grow food if you don't feel like it. It is just an option. They are just creating a green space over here. They're not growing any food. This can be fruit trees. I'm not sure. Some of them are just for the beauty and for, cleaning the air, making it green. Some of them may be fruit bearing. I don't know, but it looks great. And this is again from Copenhagen. This rooftop is a full-on garden. They produce food, all sorts of food from here. And even in a small space, you can grow a lot. And this is another very practical example. This is also a balcony, a huge balcony, but you can make it work. And it is also found that solar panels work best with this kind of gardening. I don't know the science behind it yet, but it has been, reported like that. And if you are someone who has this kind of solar panels on your roof, whatever space you have, you can make it green. And I wanted to just, shortly mention about food security. We are struggling with our food production worldwide. And if everyone is doing their bit in growing their own food or not wasting food, then food security is not going to be a ginormous challenge anymore, okay? It is one of the sustainable development goals that we have. It is number 2. And creating green spaces is Sustainable Development Goals number 11. And climate mitigation is Sustainable Development Goals number 13. So if we create this kind of balcony, rooftop, urban gardening, all of these things, even inside our houses, some way, all of us together will be able to contribute in meeting these kind of goals, okay? And okay, so just if you can take a screenshot of this. there is this is the channel that I've mentioned before. Whatever you see in that little picture is her entire garden. This is her little daughter. The name of the channel is Her 86 Square Meters, and this is the link to her balcony gardening. You can see for yourself how she works with it. She used all these old crates also. She uses some old plastic buckets, and she is trying to make work, okay? And she's harvesting so much of food from her little balcony. And another wonderful urban gardener is this guy. His name is Kevin Espiritu. And I've put the link to one of his videos where he shares about rooftop gardening somewhere in Spain. Okay. The name of his channel is This Epic Gardening. And I think everyone has taken a screenshot. Okay. So these three people are the people who have changed my professional life in some way or the other. Number one is Huey Richards, Jean-Martin Fortier, and Curtis Stone. These guys are practitioners, as Madam would say, practitioners of gardening, farming in the most sustainable way. And especially this guy over here, Curtis Stone, he lives off grid now. He used only solar energy for all his energy consumption. And this is the guy who has been so instrumental in making urban garden work. And he's very famous in the urban gardening community. And you can Google their names, you can follow them on social media, and you can learn for yourself how they grow lots and lots of healthy food for their families and for other people. And another information that I wanted to share with you guys is one of the crucial thing that we do is buying responsibly. See, there's a company called Monsanto, and it has been acquired by another company called Bayer. So even our Indian companies, they get their seeds from these people, and they use all of this agricultural biotechnology and chemicals and all to mess with the indigenous and the seeds, and they're trying to monopolize everything. You might call me a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just sharing what I know. So if you want to buy seeds, I would recommend you buy from a company called All That Grows. Okay, this is the name of it, All That Grows. You can Google it, it will pop up. This is an Indian company, okay? I have bought seeds from them so many times. Their seeds are good. And another company that I am buying from is rareseeds.com. They do only natural seeds, okay? They don't do hybrid F1 this and that seeds. We can go in depth with seeds and what to buy and what not to buy, but that can be for another session.
Sure.
Yes, so that will be all my presentation for today. I hope everyone learned something, and if you have any questions, I can take it now.
Okay, thank you so much, Jojo, for such a insightful and informative session. So yeah, there is so much question in the chat box. So what I can do, I read the question for you, and you can give it answer.
Okay.
First, there is question is, what are the cost for the hydroponic setup?
Come again, please.
What about the cost for the hydroponic setup?
The cost.
Yes, the
Okay.
cost.
When you want to start on your own, it can be less than 200 rupees also. The example that I gave you will cost you less than 200 rupees. Okay. But if you want to grow it commercially, there is no ending to the budget. If you want to start commercially, you will have to spend somewhere in the range of maybe 3 to 5 lakhs. That is where you start commercially. But you can buy hydroponic kits off of Amazon that will cost you maybe 6,000, 10,000, 15,000, depending on how many plants you want to grow. Depending on how many crops you want to grow, what kind of hydroponic system you want to use accordingly, it will change. But the simplest form that I have shown you today, using all those plastic bottles and all, you can start even with 200 rupees also. You don't have to overcomplicate it, okay? You just experiment for yourself first. Don't spend too much. Experiment first and then go from there.
Okay, and the next question is there any kind of plant which we can't grow through hydroponics? Or you can say what kind of plant is ideal for hydroponics?
Okay, so really big plants like I mean, personally, I have not seen or I have not experienced growing is like papayas, all these fruit-bearing trees I have not done on hydroponics. Even the mango tree, it is growing, but it is not bearing fruit yet. Maybe it will take some time. I'm not sure. And okay, I will tell you some of the things that can grow on hydroponics. You can grow potatoes. You can grow okay, so for growing food items that grows underground, you need to use a system called aeroponics. I'll just type it in the comment section, okay? You have to use aeroponics for so aeroponics is a much more complicated and much more expensive system as compared to the regular hydroponic system, okay? And you can grow any leafy vegetables like spinach, coriander, even Chinese cabbage. You can grow lettuce. You can grow all kinds of salad greens and any green leafy vegetables you can grow in a very ordinary hydroponic system. If you want to see all these hydroponic systems, I can show it to you also, or I can, share the PPT with CEE, and then you can get it from there also.
Yes, we will share the PPT and recording if required. So
Okay.
there is another more questions, that is, can hydroponics survive during rainfall?
During winter.
During rainfall. Rainfall.
I
Hello.
didn't get that one.
It's during monsoon actually.
Monsoon.
Rainfall. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it can actually. However, since it is a man-made setup, you have to make sure that the wind doesn't take it away. Okay. And another factor is, since we are working with water, there may be a very good chance that rain gets added to the system. Okay. So when it does, then you will have to recalibrate the nutrient content in the water system. There is a very simple way. There is a one small thermometer looking like device that we use. It's called EC meter and a pH meter also. So we use that, we measure the nutrient concentration in the water, and accordingly we add more nutrients to it, or we add more water according to however we need to adjust. So even during monsoon also, you can use it. Hydroponics is usually done indoors. So that's why we say it can be used throughout the season. If it is outdoors, then there's lots of more work involved. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I'm just going to state the facts, okay? So that is what you do. If there is rain disturbance, you need to calibrate the water. If you do it inside the house, there is no problem at all. Winter, summer, rainy season, any time of the year, it is fine.
Okay. So only one question right now we can take, because we are already now 4:08. So there is there sunlight or artificial light which is more suitable for hydroponics?
Okay. If you are a hobby gardener, use sunlight. If you are a commercial hydroponic grower, use artificial light. This is as simple as I can tell you.
Okay. Is there any specific requirement for the sunlight? But means how much sunlight required, like that?
The natural sunlight is fine. You cannot control the sunlight, but if you feel that the sunlight is too much, you can add some kind of shading. That is up to you, and that also depends on how much of hours of sunlight you get in a day. If your plants get about 5 to 6 hours of sunlight per day, that is sufficient.
Okay. So there is one last question. Ma'am, can we use hydroponic technology for spirulina farming in rooftop? And can rooftop moose farming help to aid the nature?
I'm just scrolling through the chat box, okay?
Okay, please.
For spirulina farming. Spirulina, again, it grows in the water, but it is like the system is slightly different, I would say. I'm unsure because I have not done this particular experiment for myself, so I cannot give you a solid yes or no. Can rooftop moss farming help to aid the nature? Nature aid the nature, I'm not sure, but it will definitely cool down the temperature for your ceiling, and that will cool down the temperature inside the house as well. And moss farming is something very different, and I'm not sure if you are up for it because it's going to be very, very technical with moss farming. Please clearly mention the name of the nutrients. Okay, the name of the nutrients, it's a long list, okay? It's a very, very long list because we work with micronutrients and we work with macronutrients. And in those, you have about 6 to 12 ingredients there, so I cannot list it yet. So the most common that you can use is NPK. I'll just write it down, okay? NPK. So it comes like this. Okay, so that is the easiest micronutrient that you can use for all your hydroponic plants. Okay, the root of the plant will not rot in the hydroponic system. Definitely not rot. Okay, it will not rot because the water is going to flow the entire time, right? So we use a water pump and it just makes the water go around and around, so there will be no root rot. Which is better, hydroponic technology or culture media technology for? I'm not sure what is cultural media technology. I assume you are talking about the conventional that we use in our culture. There is always pros and cons in everything, okay? But it depends on what you can use. If you are a person who does not have land but has an empty room inside your house, then go for hydroponics. But if you have a huge land and you want to make use of it, go for the natural farming if that is your wish. I have land, I use hydroponics, I use natural farming, I use everything that I can have. Another question that I wanted to answer is, okay, all these pictures of rooftop garden are made up by hydroponics. No, all of those things, they are used by soil, by mixture of soil. Some of them are soil, some of them are hydroponics, okay? So just by seeing the pictures, you may not be able to differentiate, but it's a mixture of it. And one quick shout out to CEE also. I would love to collaborate further if that is it's completely up to you. I see the participation here and everyone is so interactive. So hopefully in the future we will have a practical session somewhere in Kolkata.
Right. Yeah, and thank you so much, Zuzan, to join us. And yeah, we will get you. I hope we will get you in near future. And thank you so much for all the participants who joined today. And if you have any questions, you can write to us. The mail ID I have mentioned in the chat box. So we can share those questions to Zozan for the answer, and we'll share to all the participants. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much, Josang, for this such an insightful presentation and informative presentation. Thank you so much.